What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the opinionated hippie, and this is part 7, I think, of my ranking and reviewing Bob Dylan's Bootleg Series, though we're on volume 9, because the first release was volumes 1 through 3, which have not been released separately. So volume 9, Bob Dylan, the Witmark Demos, 1962 to 1964, right there. A 2-disc set, or a 4 LP set. I have the CD set. Did not buy this on vinyl. This is, as the title says, a series of demos, not all Witmark demos. The first 8 tracks are actually from Leeds Music, something he did first, I think, in 62, and the rest of them take place at Witmark from 62 through 64. A lot of tracks on here. There are 47 different tracks, right? Yeah, 47 different tracks. A lot of this stuff has been released or would eventually be released on, his first 4 or 5 albums. Some of it, these actual versions were released on earlier versions of the Bootleg Series, a couple tracks, only a handful of tracks. And then there were 15 tracks which were never released on anything prior before that, though I think a couple of them had popped up on bootlegs. And what we get here is it's all pretty much Dylan with an acoustic guitar and a harmonica. I think he's on piano for a handful of tracks just to kind of mix things up a little bit. And what it really is, it's a great listen, because I think if there's one thing that's undeniable in this is that the man has charisma, right? Give him a microphone, give him a guitar, a harmonica, I don't care, a piano, whatever, and let him sing his songs. I think every single one of these 47 songs is a Bob Dylan original except for one, which is a Baby Let Me Follow You Down, Baby Let Me Follow You Down. Except for that, I think that's the only cover on this entire thing. And we have like all kinds of different songs. We have things that sound like traditional songs, like Ramblin' Gamblin' Willie, which is about the guy who died was shot and killed with the dead man's hand, Aces Over Eights. Sounds like a traditional song. We got really funny things like Talking Bear, Mountain Picnic, Massacre Blues. We got classics like A Hard Rain, It's Gonna Fall, Don't Think Twice, It's All Right. That was released in volume 7. Girl from the North Country, we got an early version of that. Mr. Tambourine Man. When the Ship Comes In, which had been released on Bootleg Series Volume 1. Masters of War. Like, we got all kinds of delicious stuff on here. And most of it was recorded for the purposes of him recording the song to give to other artists so they could record it and release it. Most of this stuff, again, as I said, 47 minus 15, 32 of the tracks he ended up releasing himself, or eventually got released on other stuff. But the thing about this is, as great as it is like this snapshot into early Dylan, it's not live. So we're missing that sort of in-the-moment interpretation, responding with the audience, trying to give the words just sort of like whatever you're feeling at the moment. So there's that element of like that spontaneity in front of a live audience that's not there. Though he is just pretty much sitting down in front of a microphone and just like whipping these things out. Some of them he forgets the lyrics to. The first track on here, oddly enough, is one of those where he gets to the end and just kind of like it stops, which is interesting. It's a weird way to start off something because you're thinking, oh, is the rest of this going to be like that? It's not. They're mostly complete versions of most of the stuff. But the way it is it feels like if you're like a jam band fan, right? And you follow, name a jam band. We'll pick the Dead or Fish or Mo, or even Zappa to some degree. Artists who will like write stuff and debut it live and sort of work it out on stage live in front of an audience. So like the initial versions of it might sound drastically different than what they settle into, or might just be lacking some sort of something in the early performances just because the band is not used to performing them and they're trying to figure it out. Most of these songs are arriving like fully formed, right? Like the lyrics are there, The chord progressions are the same. The energy is kind of roughly the same. But these are definitely songs that Dylan hasn't lived in or performed too many times or really found like he's not got bored with him yet. So he's like tweaking his delivery or even changing the lyrics as he was wont to do or changing the music as he sometimes did. So these are really just like I don't want to say mock-ups of songs, but it's like if he was a fashion designer, you know, he would like come up with a quick design, maybe mock up something and then like hang it up on like, you know, his form to like look at it. That's what these are. These are like just, they're really good because the lyrics are good and he can sing and the performances are great. Like they're still iconic songs, but they don't feel lived in. They don't feel like they've gone through journeys or been tested in front of audiences or he's really like understood a different way to interpret it or he's investing something in it like that he normally would. They're fun performances. Like I have zero complaints about them. But again, I think there's better stuff. There are better versions of almost these exact same songs out there only because he is putting more of himself into them, if any of that makes sense. But I don't know. I think both discs are excellent. Again, I think they're really good driving discs. They're because you're just focusing on Dylan and his words. You know, some of the highlights on here have already been released on the bootleg series. Like the Don't Think Twice, It's All Right, which is awesome, kicks off disc 2. That was released on volume 7. Walking Down the Line was on volume 1. When the Ship Comes In, The Times Are Changing. Those are all on volume 1. Everything else is new to this release. Some really fun stuff on here. Like I really like the Ramblin' Gamblin' Willie. That's one of my favorite songs on here about the man who died with the poor man's dead man's hand, Aces Over Eights. Couple versions of Man on the Street on here. Some really nice, otherwise unreleased songs. The Death of Emmett Till is a pretty intense song that wasn't released. John Brown, what is it? Just called John Brown, was not released before. That's a pretty good song. But yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of really good bare bones versions of Dylan songs. Really quickly, disc 1. Let's just go through the whole thing. Man on the Street, Hard Times in New York Town, Poor Boy Blues, Ballad for a Friend, Ramblin' Gamblin' Willie, Talking Bear Mountain Picnic Massacre Blues, which is a pretty fun, awesome song. Standing on the Highway, Man on the Street, Blowing in the Wind, Long Ago Far Away, A Hard Rain's Gonna Fall, Tomorrow's a Long Time, The Death of Emmett Till, Let Me Die in My Footsteps, Ballad of Hollis Brown, Quit Your Low Down Ways, Baby, I'm in the Mood for You, Bound to Lose, Bound to Win, All Over You, I hate to be you on that dreadful day. It's a really good song. Long Time Gone, Talking John Birch, Paranoid Blues, Masters of War, Oxford Town, and Farewell. That is all disc 1. 25 songs. So yeah, they're all kind of like what? Pretty short. I think Hard Rain's Gonna Fall is by far the longest thing on here. And like a good, healthy, like almost 7 minutes. Everything else is, you know, around 2 or 3 minutes long. Disc 2, Don't Think Twice, It's All Right, Walking Down the Line, I Shall Be Free, Bob Dylan's Blues, Bob Dylan's Dream, Boots of Spanish Leather, Girl from the North Country, Seven Curses, Hero Blues, What You Gonna Do, Gypsy Lou, Ain't Gonna Grieve, John Brown, Only a Hobo When the Ship Comes In, Times Are Changing, Paths to Victory, Guess I'm Doing Fine, Baby Let Me Follow You Down, Mama You've Been on My Mind, which is another one I don't think it was ever released, right? It wasn't released for quite a while, and then it came out on like a live thing or something else, right? But it didn't make one of the albums. Mr. Tambourine Man, and I'll Keep It With Mine. So yeah, just some really, really good stuff, really good songs. I do think most of these versions, when they would be re-recorded and released on an album or when we have them in live versions later, those versions are probably better and probably pack a little bit more of a punch. But I think as a historical document, as something that is an engaging listen, I don't think it's as compelling as a lot of the other bootleg series on here. But I think it is something that's fun to return to ever so often, but to think that like 47 songs, he wrote most of them himself. Many of them seem like they're like tried and true classics already, and he's just covering them, which is not the case. The one that is a cover is he picked something really fun and awesome. Baby, Let Me Follow You Down. Love that song. But yeah, just, yeah, you know, that's what I got to say about this. It's a great historical document that I think needed to be released. But at the same time, I think a lot of these songs, I think the attraction of this is you have all of these early versions in one place. But I think there are better versions of most of this stuff out there. But these are not bad versions. So out of the 7 releases so far, I would put it there at number 6. That volume 7 is just, doesn't have flow to it. It feels weird. It feels off. It feels forced. It doesn't feel like it should be a bootleg series. It should just be a release that's a soundtrack. It's just, there's some really, really good stuff on there. Probably some stuff on there that is probably better than the stuff on this one. But as a whole, volume 7 just doesn't work for me. And then volume 6, you also have a repeat of a lot of the material on here, but it's live. So you get that live interpretation. You get that live energy. You get where Dylan is live. And I'll almost always take live stuff over studio stuff. But anyways, number 6. But all these are good releases, 100%, like no complaints. But if I had to pick what I would listen to in order, it would be 6th out of these that I would return it to. But anyways, yeah, that's all I got about this one. Don't really have much to say. If you don't know Dylan's songs, it might be a good place to start. And then you find the albums of the songs you like and you jump into the albums from there. I don't know. But who knows? It's an interesting listen. Of course, it's got a great little informative booklet in it, as always. Yeah, so nice little cool old looking CDs, looks like it would be old, like they were made in the 60s, though they don't make CDs in the 60s. But that's it. I'm just rambling. Let me know what you think about this release, all that stuff, what your favorite songs in here are, all that stuff. And that's all I got, man. So thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, listen, share, comment, and go listen to music. Go listen to all the music, people. Go listen to this, because Dylan's a genius. What can you say? Peace. Talk to you later.